Hello, hello, hello.
All the kisses.
Howdy, everybody. Happy whatever day it is. Yay.
Nobody cares. All the kisses.
Okay, we are officially live on YouTube. So FYI, happy whatever day it is. Yay.
Nobody cares. Tracy girl.
Hi, Nicole.
Love you.
All right. Welcome, everyone. I'm so excited to see the planning team and our volunteers. I'm so excited that you're part of this. Today's a big day for the volunteer team. The planning team has been doing a lot of work and we've started outlining exactly where we need help and support. So this is the meeting where we're going to hit a lot of that fun stuff.
You sure have been doing a lot of work. I was without power, as you know, for 5 days and just trying to get caught up. It's like you guys have been very busy.
This is right. I don't, this whole Slack asynchronous communication, we got emails and text messages and video calls and WhatsApp channels and welcome to new life. Good luck trying to catch up, right? So that's what these are for, though. This is our moment to do a catch up and check in. I think the biggest forward momentum that's happened has been a lot of content. So Desiree, I know that you are anointed for the content update, and immediately following yours, I think Anne and the session administrators have an update and some questions. So I want to do the content update piece right now and then fold into it. And then from that, let's talk about the volunteer positions needed to support that. Awesome. Okay, Desiree, over to you.
Hi. Oh my gosh. So I'm on the West Coast and most of you are not. So when I wake up in the morning, I almost feel like, if anyone remembers that episode of Friends where Rachel pretends to start smoking so she can hang out with everybody, I almost feel like I need to wake up 3 hours earlier so I can be involved in the conversation as it's happening. There is so much going on. It's so exciting. So with content, we have a ton of speakers and sessions confirmed. Carrie has been working her magic and working her little fingers off to the bone. We have volunteers that are working on getting all of the speaker media done, and they're starting to promote on social media. So that's exciting. We should start seeing an increase in registration over the weekend, I'm hoping, as people start to promote more and more. We have made kind of a shift in what we're calling each of the sessions to keep it uniform, but still fun. We have moved into kind of a Friends theme, which is the one about XYZ. And then the description is going to be how to bullet point, bullet point, bullet point type thing. So I think it's going to be so fun, just keeping on the whole theme of conversation.
And so I will highlight that the how-to thing. We had a conversation about the big differentiator for our content is, at least at Hot Dokimazos, we try to be very problem solution focused. And so this is, every conversation is solution focused. So it's not just me sharing my best practice. It's what was my problem and how did I solve it, so that everybody feels like they're getting something. Even if it's a roundtable live conversation, you know what your ultimate objective is. But then the conversation from Desiree was, okay, that's awesome, but it doesn't feel very conversationally. So if we go back with Friends and add the one about ... then the description has the how to. We still hit both of them. It's a conversation, it's fun, it's retro, and then, oh, here's the problem we solved.
Genius. I love it.
Keeping it fun.
Please.
So do you want me to screen share like what the session tracks ended up being, or what do you want?
Yeah, if you could, that would be great.
Certainly. I don't know if everyone can see. You want to walk us through them?
Sure. We have a really good mix of lessons, kind of instructional, as well as, conversations and interaction. We have some extremely talented people joining us for their session. So we've gone with our track one is Shift Happens. This is kind of the lessons. This is going to be a lot of where the how-to falls in, and then stories that people, success stories of people who have made the shift over the last few months and how their business has grown and changed. The woo-woo room is exactly what it sounds like. It's going to be the feel good yoga. We might have some tarot card classes in there. I'm hoping that my gal can confirm for some Tibetan bowl singing. I've got a gal who might be interested in talking to us about, I totally just lost my train of thought, crystals. She's like, how to use crystals to feel good every day. Show me yours. This is really the virtual, where we're going to focus on kind of what a lot of people are already talking about. But this is going to be what's worked for people over the last few months. Secret Sauce is really focusing on career growth, resumes. We've got some chats about, it'll be not one-on-one, but live kind of hot seat about resume reviews. Dial Up Disco, this is all things conversation. This is, it's going to be probably a little bit of like kind of random breakouts. This will be roundtables, just really everything that is about everything else, if that makes sense. The Romper Room, this is a little bit mix of fun, entertainment. We've got probably some belly dancers. We've got comedians. This is just where all the fun stuff happens. People can pop in and out of here anytime that they want. Unicorn and Rainbows, this is just the crazy idea space. This is going to be, you know, anything goes in this space. So if you guys have some ideas of stuff that we could pull off over the next couple weeks, we've had some great conversations about yard art. We've had the bathtub swimming conversation was pretty fun. And then we've got the Peach Pit, which is where everybody gets together. And then the HD Spontaneous Think Tank, which the group is going to be hosting.
That's a good delineation, because my question was really the difference between Dial Up Disco and the Peach Pit. Is the Peach Pit, are we going with Peach Pit as only the in-persons?
Yes.
Okay.
That's the goal for that one.
Okay. And
Where
for
is
those of you that missed that memo, the in-persons is up to 10 people in person in a particular city. If a venue wants to host people, it has to be 1 hour. It cannot be taken over the whole day thing, but we also want to push them to September 10th. So people can participate online with us on the 9th. And then we do a Peach Pit conversation on September 10th. It could be global, whoever wants to host and get together.
What about the unrestricted hotness? Where does that live?
Those fall under Unicorns and Rainbows.
Ah, sweet.
That's all you, baby.
Woo!
This is awesome. I have nothing to add or say, or I guess I do have one question. I guess is tarot cards is listed here under Romper Room, but that's really Woo Woo Room. Is that right?
It could kind of be both. It's one of those that where we need to fill it in at is where that one will kind of go, but it'll probably fall under Woo Woo Room since the gal that I'm looking at actually talks about tarot for energy and that kind of stuff. She wraps it kind of all in that.
Mm-hmm. And then Jennifer had a question about when we're doing on demand. The on demand can fit into any of these categories, right? So we're going to have that on demand room wherever it needs to go. Why would I do on demand? What makes this different than just going on YouTube and searching it? Do we have any ideas there?
Yeah, so the on demand is kind of a twofold. It fits into two parts of being pre-recorded and on demand. So for example, Carrie on our team, she's actually doing a pre-recorded session that will be time slotted, but I also see that living in the on demand space. So what she's doing is the pre-recorded session will be there, but Carrie will pop in at the end for the live Q&A and interaction. That video we can move into or duplicate into the on-demand space as well. We don't have a ton of people, which is good news. We don't have a ton of people that aren't available to pop in for a live Q&A after their timed session, but we do have some of those people who can't stay. So we've kind of told them we can move you into the on-demand. So pre-recorded and on-demand kind of have a crossover a little bit.
Okay, cool. And then I just thought I would share a little bit about how we're thinking the on-demand might work. So you can keep talking while I go pull that up just so people get an idea.
Yeah, the on-demand is not to replace attending. It's kind of to double up the people who couldn't attend the session at the slotted time is really kind of how we're seeing it. The good news is we don't have a lot of speakers who are only available to pre-record and then go away. They want to participate. They want to be here all day long with us.
So I do have a follow-up question about that. So everybody can see how we're all here in this Zoom meeting. Will the attendees actually, when we go to the live Q&A, will it be something like this where anybody can basically raise their hand and ask a question, and anybody can jump in on the conversation?
Yes, that's my understanding how the technology will work.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's a screen share with the video. And then once the video is over, the speaker or the session host can jump on and finish the presentation or the Q&A.
Okay.
Is there a limit to the number of people in the room so it stays a nice conversation size?
The default limit is my understanding from Lucas with Kiko is 300, but he's looking at expanding that. So he said we could even bump it up to 500 or 1,000 based on our final registration numbers.
And if we want it conversational, I don't know that we need to expand it to the 1,000 or to the huge. I think that smaller is okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only question is if we got 14,000 people registered, is there enough activity for them to go to?
Exactly. Yeah. Which is something that Lucas said we can look at as we get closer to final registration.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Here is, go back to the screen share.
Registration, if you want to just keep it at a certain number, and that also creates a FOMO that they'll have to come to the next one or sign up sooner.
Right.
Could be.
So this isn't fully built out, but just to give you an idea, when you go into a normal page right now, we've kind of got the embedded document for planning, but in the woo-woo room, I was testing how we could do some on demand. So if you click on that one, you see our embedded page here. And so anything that's on demand is basically a YouTube list that you'd be able to pick. Okay, I want to go with the Tibetan bowls, and that's how you would access it. So that's one idea of how we might do it. So it feels more like a library, and it is truly it's not like on demand at 2 p.m. So we're forcing you into this kind of thing. It's a look, literally over the course of the week, go find the stuff that you missed. Any of the things that we do record, we can go add into the on demand after the fact and let people go find it. I don't think 100% of our stuff needs to be recorded. I think that a lot of these conversations, to your point with the FOMO, is like, get in it and be part of it and get something out of it. This isn't necessarily for us to go create a bunch of useless stuff to distract people with.
Yeah, I agree. We don't want everything recorded. There's got to be a reason for you to come hang out with us live.
That's right.
Yeah, but I wonder, how's that going to work though if there's sessions that go on at the same time and I can't go to both?
They'll have
I'd
Sorry.
like to go to both.
It's like a real conference. You got to be in the room or not.
Okay.
Pick a room.
Make a decision.
Make a decision. You can ask someone to take notes for you in the other room. Hey, speaking of which, in the partner world, if we have anyone that can do graphic note taking that wants to do at least a couple of those, that would be epic.
Okay, one more question. So right now we have what, 5, 10, 15, 25, 23 people in here.
Yep.
So it's kind of easy to raise your hand and say, hey, I have a question. If we do have 300 people in a room, how is anyone going to get attention because I see the size of us now at 23 people. How are you going to get someone's attention that you have a question? Is there going to be a moderator?
Yes, each session will have a facilitation moderator, volunteer, staff member in there. So there will be someone from our team sitting in each session.
Okay.
Or the person who's leading the roundtable would take that role as well. So like if we've got something in a European time zone or whatever, they would take that role or have a volunteer kind of paired up with them. Because we run, Nicole and I run these kind of things all the time with about 100 people, and you just got to keep an eye on the chat and the participants and the raise hand and the who wants to talk, and then you just host and moderate. And it's like, Krista, I see you nodding. Do you have something to say? And Adrienne, I see that you look like you're about to talk. Let's get you in here.
Okay, awesome.
And our speakers are very used to running their own type of events like this. Most of our speakers have actually made the shift to doing online presentations. So they're very comfortable with doing their own webinars, Facebook Lives, that kind of thing, where they can jump in and interact with whoever's watching.
Okay.
So my last question for you, Desiree, is the list in the project plan that says confirmed speakers. So I'm looking, how confirmed can we start when can we start saying?
If they're on the confirmed list, they're 100% confirmed in. The only thing that might change is their topic name, which Carrie was working on this morning to make that shift of the new format. But if they're on the confirmed list, they're 100% in and ready.
Fantastic. Yeah, I am starting to see that the topics have changed. The one where you learn to bring joy to your life, the one where we cultivate resiliency, the one where you grow your career while growing your family. These are awesome. The one about turning a setback into a comeback. Ah, I love it.
And our list is ever growing. Carrie and I work on this thing almost 24 hours between the two of us updating. So, and we're still accepting speakers. So if you guys have people, please don't hesitate to send them our way. Don't think that you have to be either me or Carrie to present a speaker to us. We'd be more than happy to see if we can make them work.
And Danielle, I had told them about the other event that you were running. And so they may have reached out to you about using some of that content or having you in as well.
Yeah, I just talked to Carrie today, so thank you.
Perfect. Great.
Desiree, to that point, because I manage the speakers for AWE, which I saw most of them are already on the list, and as well as MPI CAC. So would you want to just send the spreadsheet of speakers over to you and you can identify which would be a good fit?
If it's someone that you have a personal relationship with, the easiest thing is to do an email introduction, connecting the two of us together. And you can put me and Carrie on those, or just send them over to me and I'll start looping Carrie in. That's been the fastest way to do it. There's actually been a couple people who we were like, hey, this is great. I don't think it would be a fit this event. So, and they've been more than understanding. But if you could just do that email introduction, that moves it along the fastest.
Sure. Like that answers a lot of the questions, because I kept on looking for verbiage, like how do I introduce this? And I was, copying and pasting some of the mission statement and a lot of work. And I'm like, there has to be an easier, more straightforward way of doing this. So I'll take that into consideration and connect to everyone.
Yeah, awesome. I will drop, I created a folder in the Google Drive that is templates that I'm using for the speakers. I'll drop in there a couple of templates for introductions and what Carrie and I are saying.
Excellent. Right.
And that document is ever evolving. Yesterday, the template her and I were using is completely different now that we've renamed everything but hey, it's all fun. It gives us a reason to keep contacting people.
Sounds good.
Awesome. Thank you, Desiree. Anything else?
Nope, that's it.
Okay. Kate, Ann, and Kristen, what do you guys have?
So we have been meeting with Carrie and Desiree and trying to get everything set up between the two of us, see where their role starts and their role ends and our role starts. And we think we need a lot of volunteers. So if anyone wants to come over to this side, we think we need them. But we had a few questions that we couldn't resolve in between ourselves. The first question that we have is that, is each session going to start and stop, or is it going to go all day long? Like, are we going to let people into the room, or are they just going to walk into the track?
Yeah, Lucas and I have been continuing that conversation based on his experience with Kiko and how that all flows. And we had originally thought that each session would end and the room would kind of close and then people would come back in. The challenge with that is the technology then just kicks people out of Zoom altogether. It just and so then they would have to go back into the event, find their next class. So I think we're going to make the shift of once the session opens in the room, it's technically open all day. So the session volunteers will need to make sure that they communicate to the group like, hey, next class starting in 3 minutes, next speaker coming on. And Lucas actually brought up a really fun point, is that also shows us shows everybody the behind the scenes of what happens kind of in the green room, so to speak, with the speakers. And I think that'll actually be fun. So I'm more than happy to work with you guys on how we can make those transitions to each session a little bit more smooth. You know, we can put up a slide, we can play music, that kind of stuff. So, but I do think technology wise, the best thing to do is once the room opens, it's open until the end of all the sessions in that room.
So then when we're divvying up the session admins, then we maybe just do time blocks. Like you're going to be assigned the woo-woo room from 8 to noon and you just hang out there. You welcome people when they come in.
I think that would be the easiest to assign the volunteers based on the tracks and a time block.
Okay, awesome. I think that's great. And then you're just like the room host.
Exactly.
Perfect.
And then we came up with another idea today where we could say, maybe the speaker could continue their conversation in Slack, so they could move to the track and keep talking, and then the next host could come in and start the new conversation, because it would be kind of weird if you walked into the room at the exact right time and people are still talking about the last session.
It's going to happen just like if you were at a live event. You're still going to have you're going to have people kind of mingling from the session before. My concern about telling people to go somewhere else when a new session is starting is now they're going to miss that session. So now you're redirecting them from the event to somewhere else. You're kind of pulling them away.
But the most important thing about this whole event is the conversation. So if you've started something really great, you need to continue it.
Oh yeah, I think we should have the option. We'll have the breakout rooms. They can move it to, maybe they can move it, to one of the other rooms. We can give them that option. I wouldn't direct people to do that, if that makes sense. So we'll just need to make sure that in our verbiage, we can be like, hey guys, we got to get the room ready for the next, the next speaker. If you would like to move this conversation to one of our breakout rooms, here's the link. And then we just move on from there.
So Lucas, what about the garden? Like are there other rooms like that where it's, okay, we do want to go keep having it?
Yes, so we can have, I just think of them as overflow spaces, and we can call them gardens, we can call them hallway spaces. And these are simple spaces that when you get there, it's just one big photo to tell you kind of where you are. You're in a garden, you're in a hallway, there's a big water cooler, you're at the pub, something like that. And we can theme them all, right? Different places that people like to hang out. And then there's just a Zoom button. So that's the only thing you do. Look at a photo, join Zoom.
Okay. And then you can see if there's already people in the room having a conversation because their little icon shows up on that page.
Exactly.
Okay. Great.
We can also have some spaces that are specifically one-to-one spaces. So if you see two people already there, it would be rude to walk into, but all the other ones by default could be group hallway spaces. So anyone can flow in and out, things like that.
Okay. I like that a lot. What else you got, Anne?
I think our major concern was about hundreds of people being in a room. How do we make how do we make conversations intimate?
Right.
And like someone really gets something out of it.
I think that is the big challenge, the big question to solve for. So we have 7 rooms theoretically, but you could have up to 20, right, Lucas?
We can have up to 100 rooms.
Oh, wow. Okay, well, we don't need that much content. Don't worry, Desiree.
Well, and more rooms come with a price too.
Yeah. So, I mean, if we had 2,000 people all logged on at the same time with our 7 rooms, we'd have about 300 people per room. We all know that they're not all going to log on for all the things all the time. So it's really, maybe it's just a matter of, well, we'll have to figure out when we start laying out the content. Desiree, are you putting sessions in slots at this point already?
Not yet.
Okay. Maybe we'll get an idea what it's looking like, what the draw feels like it's going to be, and how we can manage. I mean, is there a way that if it looks like it's going to be one of those with 400 people in it, should it involve a breakout at some point where even within the Zoom, we're going to create a bunch of, randomly distributed breakout sessions just so small group conversation can happen after the main part does?
Well, or do we have the option to say, let's break that 400 person session into 200 person sessions? I mean, if we find something that's that popular, maybe the way to get intimate is to have more smaller sessions of the same content.
we're not requiring them to pre-register for the session. So we don't know how many are going to be in each session until the session starts. There are a couple of topics though that we've looked at possibly repeating, and that will also, once I start plugging in the sessions a little bit more as well, if we have gaps or if we have one that it feels like this is going to be a big draw, this is a hot topic right now, we might have the session repeat later in the day, you know, just to make sure we've got enough slots filled in. So that's an option that we're looking at too, just depending on how much content we have.
I do also think that there's, I mean, some of the sessions we can just limit. Sorry, this one was 100 people, first come, first serve. It wouldn't work with 400 people, and that's okay. It's like, you ever been to Dreamforce and you had to like tag in and out of the rooms and you just didn't get there in time.
Yeah, but Liz,
I
it
definitely
may,
think with the round tables and stuff, we're going to have, you know, we'll be limiting those rooms.
if you're not doing pre-registration, then obviously it will be limiting because you may only take 100 people. But if we did do pre-registration, we might see that one particular program may have 400. Maybe we need to have that 3 other times throughout the day so everyone can participate. Or
Yeah.
we do, you know, the first come, first serve.
Yeah.
But just a thought.
Maybe. So I don't think we're going to do the pre-reg because that's completely useless in a virtual event. Half the people aren't going to show up anyway, and they're going to tell us they're going to be there. So we're never going to do that for this one. But the interest, maybe if there's a way we can put out as we're doing the surveys, Gail, maybe it's okay, here's what we have. Give us your interest so we know that we're planning correctly. If we do need to split this one, and that's something we check, you know, the week before the event and see how it's looking.
Right.
That's a great idea.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question on, we don't have to answer it now, but just for future conversations. If there is going to be sessions that have a limited cap on attendees, how will that work if the track is open? Because we weren't planning on kicking attendees out. It would be more of a natural transition of, you know, the prior audience exiting and the new audience coming in. But if we have a cap, how would that work to ensure that people who want to get in before the people who are lingering have left?
Lucas, are we able to kind of randomly cap throughout the day in one room?
The caps happen on Kiko chat. So everyone here entered the main room. The button to enter the room disappears when you reach the cap. Currently, the cap is standard across all rooms. We can change that. When people are already in the room and they haven't joined Zoom, the only cap we have right now is you can't get into the Kiko room. The button is hidden. So it'll be a bit problematic if you got 100 people in a Zoom meeting and you kick them out of Zoom. It doesn't mean 100 more people can come into the Kiko room because the limit, we only have access to cap the limit on the Kiko side. The other limits that are implicit in Zoom are either 100, 300, 500, or 1,000. And people can bump up against that limit if you know, everybody clicks into the room Zoom meeting at the same time. So,
Lucas, for the Kiko cap, say we have a session where the cap is 100, but the rest of the day is unlimited. Can we cap it by session, or it's by the entire, the track has to be the same cap all day?
I think that would be simpler for all of us to have the same cap in a room all day. So these rooms have max of 300 people. These rooms have max of 100 people. And then we don't have
Dial-up
to
disco
adjust
makes sense to be like, it's a 100-person cap. Dial-up disco is for conversation. That's the intent. So we'll cap it at 100.
And if there's a block of rooms that you know that they're capped, or you have some standard way of letting people know, like max 100 in the session title, that could be helpful. But I would prefer to not change the caps of different rooms in the middle of the day. I'd rather just set them in the morning and change them once a day, kind of thing.
Okay.
Do you guys really think that we can have chat with 100 people in a room? That seems pretty hard.
Well, think about our HDs, I mean, or our unrestricted hotness. You get 70, 80 people there. Half of them aren't going to do it anyway. They've got their sound, everything's off. They're just listening. So and Lucas, you've been in more of the open source meetings than I have, but the ones that I've participated in, same situation.
Yeah, if you have 100 people in a room, usually it's maybe 25 are actually participating in a chat. And that seems like a high number to me, honestly.
And we're talking about verbal, video chat. Even they might be on video, but there's also text-based chat inside Zoom, which is hard to do one-on-one because if there's a lot of chat messages, they're going to move pretty quick. But if you wanted more chat, there's more chat coming. In Kiko, there's going to be something that is like Slack, and you can have one-to-one chat and chat for any specific room. So there's video chat, and there's going to be more chat than you want.
Also, to remind everyone that this isn't a problem we have to have the answer to. This whole thing is an experiment. We are trying to add more conversation into the world. So let's see what happens.
And I think sometimes we get caught up in the theme is conversation. We're trying to add more conversation. It doesn't mean the conversation needs to happen in the session. We want to inspire people to continue the conversation. It doesn't have to happen in our 30-minute window. It could be a hot topic that gets people talking after the fact. We want them talking about it at the pub. So it's not, we want to inspire conversation in addition to creating it.
Agreed.
Yes. Okay. I have a question on that because I'm really starting to see this. So we listened to an entire a presentation, and it's so super exciting and mind blowing, and I need to talk about more of it. And so do I message him in the chat on Zoom, hey, I'm really excited to continue this conversation. I'm going to hop on over to the Peach Pit for anybody who wants to join me.
I think you could totally do that. You could say, so we're looking through them and you're like, I've claimed the pub. Anybody want to hit the pub with me? Okay. And you're the first one in the pub and people go join that one.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
That's fun. I like it.
I got my light bulb.
Amazing. So
let people know, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
People know in advance that they have that option to do that because I've been in on sessions where it's like the Q&A is even more dynamic than the presentation, and you're so excited, and then it's like, boom. If I knew in advance that this would be an option, I could say to people, hey, come with me.
Yeah.
Right. So
yeah, I think that needs to be like the opening slide of every single room. And it's there on the page when you click on every room. It's the reminder, like if you're loving this conversation, claim a conversation space afterwards and keep it going.
It can also be in our know before you go email that will go out to attendees just to kind of lay it all out. Here's what you can expect once you get in there, and we'll definitely include that.
We need to do a little video and intro, just a series. If we could do maybe the week before, do you think we could do like a 5 email drip that's like, here's the 3-minute video for you to watch. Here's the tips and tricks. Here's things to do beforehand. On demand, you can start now.
Yes, yes.
What if we do a mock, like a quick little 5-minute pretend video of, oh my God, that conversation was so amazing. Let's go.
Everybody grab your invisible phone. That's great.
I keep seeing the pub. Number one, I'm not British. And number two, I probably shouldn't be drinking at noon, but.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere. All right, so session administrators, if you're checking in the chat, we have a couple other volunteers to help take on some sessions there. Make note of Gail and Sandy and John.
Room dad.
And room dad. John's gonna be a room dad.
Room moms.
Gail's a room mom.
Liz, there's a conversation technique. There's a conversation technique called fishbowl where when you do it in person, it sounds like you know what it is. You got a small number of chairs that are inside and everybody else are in concentric circles, larger circles. So it's 3 to 5 people actually having a discussion. And we can use the same kind of model where you got 100 people and you have essentially a virtual fishbowl, and you kind of raise your hand and then someone comes in, comes out. This has to be some way to indicate that you're in or you're out. You speak twice and then you take yourself out, that kind of thing. And
I love that idea. What if we actually ask the people who are out to turn off their camera? And if you want to be in, turn it on. What do you think? Is that terrifying to have too many people with their camera off?
No. And we have a question related to that for you, Liz, but I can wait till people weigh in on Lucas's idea.
So if it becomes one of those larger sessions, it's 300 people, then just say, hey, if you want to be an active, like if you went in and you want to talk and you want to come off mute, keep your camera on. We want you here. If you're just here to sit back and listen, we are so excited that you're here. Go ahead and turn your camera off so we don't, you know, notice you multitasking or whatever. Just get your stuff done and enjoy the conversation.
Like that.
Yeah. So Liz, this is Kate. We had our session administrator meeting today, and one of the questions we had for you was exactly related to this. Do you want to determine any sessions where all cameras are on or all cameras are off, or as you just described, kind of attendee preference? Because if it's a huge number, sometimes all cameras off is actually helpful, just due to sort of bandwidth and whatnot.
I think that that's right. I think that to this, when it's going to be one of those fishbowl feeling ones, if you want to be active, come on, and we can put that again in the know before you go type thing. I do want at least 2 sessions to be conference call only, where people literally dial in with audio. It's still going to be using the Zoom phone numbers because we want to, the room administrator should be able to see who's making noise and mute them. But to have a conference call. So our next call in 20 minutes is going to be a former colleague of mine who used to run weekly community meetings purely by audio conference. So she's going to talk about how she set up those panel discussions, how she brought people into the conversation, and how to moderate a conference call event. So I thought it would be really cool to go back to the time 6 months ago when we used to not see each other on the phone.
Okay. And another question, we can take it offline, but do you have any preference or vision, Liz, for the speakers, facilitators, experts? Can they use polls, chat, Q&A? Can they use all of those tools?
Everything Lucas lets us turn on in Zoom, yes.
Got it. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
And actually, these are going to be separate Zoom meetings that are attached to a separate Zoom Pro account. So we might want someone on the team to be able to access them at any time.
What do you mean access them at any time?
You'll be able to edit these actual meetings through the Zoom web interface, just like it was your own Zoom Pro account.
Oh, okay. So go in and add polls on the back end.
Yep, do that.
Okay. So I think that is one thing just technically, which we can go talk about later. Once Desiree gets all of the sessions scheduled, who needs host abilities? So we're putting their email into the back end to make sure they get that upgraded access.
Yeah. And we'll have a schedule of volunteers once we have the final agenda and our final list of volunteers. We can make those assignments.
Fantastic.
Cool. So Anne and Kristen, did we cover everything we needed to today from our side?
Yeah, it sounds good to me. I think our biggest one is keeping that conversation going between sessions. So whether it's a slide and how we're working with the room parents to do that, we want to just make it as cohesive as we can, so you're getting the same thing no matter what track you're on. So that's something we've been talking about, how to keep that cohesive.
Cool.
Desiree, quick question. Are you going to be scheduling like passing time, like 10 minutes between the end of one session and the beginning of the next?
Yep, right now I currently have it at 5 minutes. I played around with it in a Zoom meeting the other day, and I think anything longer than 5 minutes is almost too long, but I'm building in 5 minutes in between each session at this time.
Okay, awesome.
Perfect. So as I look through the volunteer requirements, what you need under content, I've got there's still speaker vetter. Do you still need people vetting speakers, Desiree? That one's good.
No, Carrie and I have pretty much got that under control.
Okay. Track managers. Do you want to assign some of the folks that volunteered here as track managers, and then we fold in administrators under that?
I'm not sure what the difference between a track manager would be versus the session administrator.
Okay. And that's what I wondered, if we needed to tier the volunteers, because it's, like MLM style, right? So Nicole's going to manage unicorns and rainbows, but she might not be the person that's on there for 12 hours sitting in that room. She might want to block it out and have Kim do a 4-hour session and Gail do a 4-hour session.
Yes, this is Kate. So our team, Kristen, Ann, and I, we are not likely going to be in a particular session or track. We're going to be available for all of our volunteers to have someone to escalate to.
Okay.
So again, we had a preliminary plan on how we'd arrange the volunteers, but now that we're not going to have them pushed to Slack, we'll need to just reevaluate that on our side. But we were planning on every session, regardless of format, we'll have an admin volunteer. So they can be in there to, you know, again, depending on the channel, do whatever they need to. And they will be trained on the platform. They'll be trained on Kiko, and they will be in the speaker rehearsal. So they will have a familiarity with what the speaker's planning to do. So I guess if there's a track owner from a content perspective, we can talk about that. But we didn't envision like Carrie and Desiree needing to staff a meeting room, or yourself or Nicole. We were, again, the number of volunteers, once we have the final schedule and the number of concurrent sessions, we'll have a better idea, but we definitely need more volunteers than we have for session administrators. Does that answer the question?
It does, yeah, because I was just looking through trying to grab everyone's volunteer stuffs from each of the tabs, and I saw that listed as content, but I think you're totally right. That's a session admin volunteer role.
Yeah, okay, perfect.
So if we have some people that we think we can recommend as volunteers, friends, you know, coworkers and so forth, should we send them over to you, Kate?
I guess, I mean, I think the process for volunteers is we just throw their name in a spreadsheet. I don't think it's like a formal.
But if they're volunteering as a session admin, I think that would be great if Kate, you know, Kristen and Ann.
I mean, I would just introduce them to the event and say, hey, if you're interested, you know, we need some volunteers.
Totally. Yep.
Okay. Because I know 3 or 4 people I might be able to at least speak to.
Okay, cool.
How many volunteers do we need in that category?
We were thinking, so Ann and Kristen, jump in if I get this wrong, but when we were thinking of one would be dedicated in the room, and if the room stays open, they would have shifts. So we would need, you know, a couple hour blocks, someone would stay in there, someone would replace. And we were thinking that if we were pushing them into a Slack channel for the, you know, follow-up conversation, we'd have somebody in each Slack channel. But since that's not going to happen, we'll have to figure out how many of these Peach Pit kind of rooms there are, and then discuss if we need to have a moderator in there. Again, I think more so to answer questions and point them to resources if they have a technical issue. But do we need someone in there to keep the conversation on track and kick out people if there's anything inappropriate? So I think just based on some of the decisions made today, we'll need to revisit. But I mean, if we have 7 tracks concurrently and we need, you know, multiple people per track, that's at least 14 plus these open conversation rooms. So we need a lot. We need a lot.
Cool.
We'll get them.
That's good, because I think we have a lot of people reaching out going, how do I join? Do I get to be part of it? I think that's awesome.
Yeah. And just last quick question for me related to that. So is Desiree and Carrie, are they the ones who are going to determine how many of these open Peach Pit bar room things we're going to have? Like, can we have a finite number by the time the agenda's final, or?
Yeah. Oh, I think we should. Let's take a look at what the content looks like and how many of these we think. I still don't think that we should say no to moving the conversation to Slack. I think that that's perfectly acceptable way to continue the conversation.
But we won't push them there. It would just be organic.
Just an option. Yeah. If you want to kick off a conversation, create a channel.
Okay. Cool. Thank you.
Yeah. So I don't think.
Wouldn't we have a channel? Wouldn't we have a channel perhaps for each session so the conversation could continue?
Well, that's the question. If we have a channel per session and we already have 120 sessions lined up.
Okay.
Well, we were talking about a channel per track.
Yeah.
But again, I think per Desiree's comment, then you're taking them out of the Kiko platform. So maybe we want to encourage them to go to I don't know, the Clubhouse or the Peach Pit or the whatever the things are going to be called.
Mm-hmm.
But we could have a channel per track as well in case people want to pop in there.
And people can continue the conversation after the event is over too, which is good.
Yeah. But yeah, I think 120 channels is a lot.
I'm having trouble dealing with the 17 we already have.
I know. Unless, John, if you want to manage all those, we can put you in charge of all the Slack channels. I'm totally kidding.
Hey, do we want it to be a success?
Yeah.
No, you know what? I mean, if that's what we need, you know, we'll figure it out. But yeah, I mean, I'll do whatever we all need to do to make it successful. And I'm kidding. I will make sure that if that ends up being my role, it'll be great.
Awesome. Thanks.
Thanks, John.
Yeah.
All right, so Lucas, maybe we continue that kind of technical conversation with whoever wants to be involved in a little Tiger team for experience. Danielle, I'd like to pull you in that too as the attendee concierge team, how we're going to guide those people, and Melissa maybe as just an FAQ beforehand. So we can take that one out of this meeting and go talk through it.
Perfect.
Other volunteers, so marketing, do we get marketing covered? Our Canva expert, Jennifer?
Yes, so Krista is on this call and she is helping us out with all of, well, I'll let her talk about what all she's wonderfully doing for us now.
Hi, Krista.
Hi guys. So I just kind of got started on this today and have been creating social media graphics for all of the speakers, then some generic social media template graphics that you guys can use, as well as story graphics.
Yay! And then
I love
someone's gonna
you.
how to do an Instagram story class for me because I still don't have a clue.
Oh, that's
Crazy.
easy. Yeah, okay. We can do that.
Krista, I've been messing around in the on the reg page while just during this. Can you send me some things, or maybe we could talk offline? I could give you some sizes and we could bring over the look and the graphics that we're doing on social onto the reg page. Thanks, man.
Yes.
Cool.
Yep.
Is the reg page live, by the way?
Uh-huh.
Is it?
Age
And-
of Conversation Summit.splashthat.com.
But do we need to register for it, or?
Yes, and everyone here should have a volunteer or staff code, so I will send that to you guys separately.
Okay.
If you don't have it, John.
I may.
It's in the email I sent you originally.
Okay. Then I have it. I don't delete any of your emails.
Aw. Wow, you must have a giant folder full of crap.
I do. I had to increase my Google Drive.
I feel
Just for you.
famous now. We're somebody's folder.
Okay, what is this volunteer request that says monitor HARO? What does that mean? HARO.
So that's like ProfNet or basically it's reporters and they come in and ask for different questions or ask different topics, and they're seeking people on certain things. So it's just a laundry list of items. It spans the entire gamut. But there might be something in there that's related to events or something that we can do. And they put out one in the morning, one in the afternoon, and one in the evening. It's just it's just one of those things that's just time consuming. So helping maybe dividing that up.
Okay, so if we have any volunteers interested in the PR world who want to go monitor that, then reach out to Jennifer.
I actually do it anyways. Because it's a habit of mine. It's one of the things I do in the morning, and then I check it at lunchtime, and then I get the final email in the afternoon. So I've kind of already been doing that. I've actually already pitched 2 reporters that I put on the spreadsheet. So
okay.
Amazing. Okay, well that one's covered then. I'll take it off. And then you needed help, Jennifer, with personalized pitches?
Yes. So I think Krista is interested in helping with that. And then anybody else that's interested, even like if you don't feel comfortable actually pitching, if you just want to sit in and brainstorm or really talk about, pull different information from each publication and say, this person has covered, various types of events or, virtual events or ways to do different things. Then that way, we know who to talk to and who to pitch, and then we can talk about the pitch and that kind of stuff, even if they don't want to actually reach out. So either one of those.
Media list. Do you need help building out the media list still?
No, Krista's all over that.
Perfect. I'll remove that one. In-person meetings. So this one, again, the idea was small pods, 8 to 10 people, anywhere around the world. We will put the call out, but I was wondering, rather than us manage that, if we could push that onto the industry associations, and maybe they want to have small chapter meetings and leverage the hotel suppliers, venue suppliers that are already part of their network, that they just want to host an hour-long conversation. So anyone here involved in any of those organizations that would want to carry that torch to them? PCMA, MPI, SEMA, ILEA, SITE, Any of those?
My challenge right now is I am part of a committee with the Chicago chapter of MPI, but with everything that's coming out in the city, I'm not sure where or how we would do it. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe Chicago's not our city.
Yes. Sorry about that.
Well, if anyone is willing to help carry that torch, I can put together a little description of what we're looking for. And if you guys can carry that to that leadership team, because I'm not plugged into any of them anymore.
Yeah, I mean, Liz, I'm not quite sure what it is you're asking us to do. So maybe with that one sheet will be helpful because I'm part of PCMA and MPI.
Okay.
Local chapters.
It's really just a local call for anyone who wants to get together in person. It is a totally optional 1 hour coffee chat or lunch or happy hour on September 10th to carry forward the age of conversation after our event happens and draw that line in the sand of we are still having a conversation. It would just be a small group conversation where they would do whatever topic they want to do, take some pictures and say, I have a story to tell, or I'm part of the conversation, or whatever we end up making that message. But anchor it on those associations pulling together their people to talk.
I could reach out to SEMA.
Oh, awesome, Tracy. Thank you.
So are we trying to use this as a way to get more people in? And that is the way we get it out to MPI and all that stuff? Because we could do it through our own platform.
We could, what do you mean we could do it to our own platform?
Well, like we could set up, hey, like we could see where people are coming from and say, hey, you're in DC. Do you want to set this up?
We can totally do that. Yeah, I think twofold, right? And one way is marketing to the marketers of the marketers, which is leverage those associations, and it helps them know our event is happening. But it also gives them an opportunity to be a part of it because we're not one association. We are here for all of them, right? So it allows them to pick up the torch and carry it and push this back into their organizations with the conversation piece. But it anchors around our moment in time on the 9th and then allows them to flourish and take it forward.
So so one of my plans is to reach out to the various associations about the event.
Okay.
But of course, if someone already has an existing relationship with an association, that's going to be, we would rather leverage that existing relationship first.
Okay.
Than me just cold calling.
Well, I think the way we're going to get the uptick is by having each chapter put it out to their members, because if it just comes from MPI Global, we get so many emails from MPI that it's probably just going to get deleted. But if it comes in, one of the MPI local chapter newsletters or something like that, it's more likely to be seen.
Yeah. So maybe in that instance, it's like you go to Christy Casey Sanders and say, hey, you manage community. Can you push this out on a global level, but see if the chapters want to go pick it up and run with it? And then we leave it there. If they don't, they don't. Then no hard feelings, right? It's an opportunity to be a part of something that hopefully the industry is already talking about and that they can carry forward amongst their chapters.
And Liz, one more thing too. I think I saw on the speaker list that Derek Johnson is speaking, and he actually is the teacher facilitator for the DES course, the Digital Event Strategist course at PCMA. So he might be a good resource to at least ask about whether or not this makes sense, or maybe even put it out to people in the class.
Awesome. That's great. His first shot at teaching the hybrid model.
Yeah. Exactly. But no, I mean, and it may also be an opportunity to get some of the members to participate as volunteers as well, because we have to get 25 hours of clock time, and this could be considered clock time.
Okay, that's great. So for the rest of the volunteers, I have some of you lumped into my community manager one. So Chantel, Kim, Sandy. This part is I'm going to put you under the Danielle umbrella of attendee concierge, which is making sure communication is happening, whether it's on the social channels or it's in the Slack channel or any other way that Danielle is doing the communication with people that are interested or are registered, keeping the conversation going. So I think we need to have, just if you're still interested in being part of our community manager organization, have that little offline Tiger team meeting to figure out how we're going to respond. Danielle has already started an incredible list of FAQs. So we can go through those in that meeting. Danielle, anything you want to share on the FAQ side?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still just kind of going through things and figuring out what makes sense. So as things are evolving, I'm kind of like, oh, well, that brings up this question, or I don't need that question. So it's kind of changing as things go along, but I could definitely use some help figuring out the answers. It looks like some people have plugged in their answers, which is great. So yeah, I think just kind of brainstorming what we need to, be thinking about in advance and be ready to get those answers out.
Perfect. So yeah, I took a stab at answering all your FAQs, and then everyone please take a look at that tab on the project plan and adjust as needed. And then also continue adding other FAQs. No question is frequent yet, so it's just an AQ at this point, but they will become frequent.
Hey Liz, I have a devil's advocate question. So by reaching out to the MPIs of the world, right, each chapter, and if I could foresee a situation pre-COVID where somebody wants to host a watch party in their office, how do we make sure that they're not having a room of 50 people and only paying for one registration? Or do we just say it's part of our secret sauce and our deal is to spread the word, and we're happy that more people are hearing the good news?
I mean, I think honestly, it has to be a little honor system. If you have 10 people, we would love for you to each pay, but I don't know how we can. That's a normal challenge. They can't get more than 10 people together in a room legally anyway, right?
Right. Well, that's what I mean. Like pre-COVID, you could have a larger number, but yeah. All right.
It's a good question, but I'm not terribly worried.
I don't know that I'm going to get, I mean, it's not the hill I'm going to die on. It's just a question I wanted to ask.
It's a good question.
Awesome.
So any volunteers here that feel like they need an official role, I need to hook you up with somebody? I know we have you all slotted in for spaces, and we'll be reaching out if we haven't already.
I think, I'm listed on the document as a volunteer for the sessions, like an administrator. So I think I'm just sort of sitting back and waiting for somebody to tell me what they need from me, until then. So.
Perfect. Well, I think we're at exactly 4
way.
weeks out, so that is coming very soon.
I'm the same way too. This is Sandy. Yeah, I feel the same as well.
Yeah. So point well taken. And I think, just based on the update you heard today, Kristen and Ann and I have had a chance to now connect with the content team, so we understand more what the agenda is going to look like. And from here, we're fleshing out roles and checklists. So definitely expect more communication, but the advanced work is more around training on Kiko, training on the platforms, understanding your role. And then the real heavy lifting is obviously the day of, but we will definitely be contacting and starting regular meetings with the team.
Great. I'm happy to help however is needed. I know personally, like I'm struggling a little bit trying to keep up with everything on Slack. There's a lot of conversations going on, and I'm not sure which ones like I really need to be paying attention to, and some like maybe I don't as much. I feel like I'm missing a lot, because I just can't keep up with all of it. So I'm just throwing that out there that, I'm here as a volunteer to help. And so just let me know what you need.
Yeah, and I think it's a good point because Slack, like everything, grew very organically. We created some channels, we threw conversations, there's a little bit of crosstalk on some of them. I think at this point we can actually go back in and change some channel names because we've gotten very clear on a few of the streams. I do have one stream that is #volunteer, so that's where any call for volunteers, like I need help, should go there. And then the volunteers can pick that up and go, I'll take this one and run with it. The craziest of all ideas and unicorns and rainbows track can be now combined, because it's officially a track and we're going to go that direction. So I'll do some weeding that garden.
And I would definitely monitor that volunteer. If somebody throws something out, even if it's one thing to do, make calls to somebody, I'm happy to jump in. So post away
that
on
would be great. I'll put you on that one, Tracy.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah, and Ann's going to be creating a Slack channel for the session administrator team. So stay tuned for that, for all of you who've been asking for, because I mean, it's not just you guys that are trying to keep up on Slack, which is why we needed to talk to the content team and kind of get a sense of where the agenda is going before we even could figure out what we need the administrators to do. So appreciate your patience.
And thanks for wanting to be involved. Right now, my ask of everyone is just tell people this thing's happening and ask them to register and buy a shirt. We're selling hottie t-shirts. Be part of the community.
Love it.
All right, everybody. This was awesome. We are making some real progress. So continue on. If you're having challenges in Slack, feel free to send me just a private message and tell me that you need some help. If you need guidance, we've got enough people that can put you in the right spots. And
Nicole's buying shampoo at Ulta.
So true.
I'm like, this one? No, this one.
We'll clean it all up now that we know what we're doing. It's been an amazing 2 weeks where we figured a lot of stuff out. So now it's time.
Hey, thanks
Awesome,
everybody.
Hey, Liz.
Thank you.
Quick question for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just want to make sure you got my emails about my skeleton outline of communication.
I think I did, but I haven't gone through them all yet.
No
So
problem.
yes, because I was going to go in and start editing the slide or the website with the initial confirmation. So yes,
Okay.
I'll just get through the rest of
And
it.
on that note, I did add some registrations. I talked to Melissa yesterday, so we did a poll, and then I added
That
some
I got. Yes.
the registration. Okay.
Yes. And as soon as I get the Survey Monkey turned on, I will send you all that info, Gail.
Yeah, and any people that are very creative with words, Nicole, if we can jazz up some of the questions, Gail and I have been working, but they're very like generic, like, you know, what sessions are you interested in, or, you know, stuff like that. So if we can find fun names to recreate those questions, that'd be great.
Oh, that we can do.
Can I? Because it wasn't on last week. What's the whole photograph thing, and how are we supposed to get it in Canva and post it?
Well, the idea, the old photograph or the I am part of the team photograph?
Oh, I didn't know about the I'm part of a team photograph.
So for the old retro photos, just drop them into Slack and then we're making those. Okay. We were thinking of making a little template to just say I'm part of the conversation to help with marketing, or you can put your own photo in it, or it's just a thing that doesn't have a photo. It's just something you could go put on social media that says I'm part of the conversation, join me, and then a call to action.
So Liz, real quick, are the volunteers, do they have access to that master list with all the tabs that's
yes.
Okay. So it is in, if you want to go in and create one, hold on one second, my computer. It's on the shareable social media tab, and I created some suggested text, the link to the Canva design. So if you have a photo that you've scanned in, you can replace, if you'll just copy the ones that are in there that have been already created, and then drop in your photo. You can download that. There's a bunch of suggested hashtags in there for you to use. And then also, if you could just have the link that we have there for the call to action, which is sending people to the Age of Conversation Summit.splashthat.com page for them to register and become involved. And
so this is the Canva template. Canva's free if you don't have it, but you click that and it'll have you sign in and create your, just copy and create your own. There's the hashtags you can use, and then there's the call to action link.
Yes.
Great.
Thank you.
Amazing. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Thank you. Bye.